Good morning.
Good morning.
नमस्कार, good morning सबैजनालाई.
Good morning, sir.
हिजो पढाएको कोर्सहरु कसले कति बुझ्नु भयो? अब त्यो प्र्याक्टिस गर्नुभयो होला सबैजनाले. सबैजना जानुभयो त? हिजो त्यो पढाएको अब एक्सेस मोडिफायर्सहरुको बारेमा अब अलिअलि त भने, तर पढ्नु पनि अब यो एकैचोटी नयाँ इन्फर्मेसन हुन्छ. अब सबै कुरा नयाँ इन्फर्मेसन हुन्छ के अब यहाँदेखि. त्यो अब पहिला इन जनरल के हुन्छ भने पहिला अलिअलि पढेको कुराहरु भए चाहिँ अलिअलि रिलेटेबल हुन्छ. तर सबै नयाँ कुरा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब एभ्रिथिङ नयाँ हुन्छ है. अनि त्यो हुँदाखेरि त अब कति लिनु, कति पढ्नु, कति बुझ्नु, अनि कुन चाहिँ बुझ्नु भन्ने जस्तो हुन्छ है. म पनि थिएँ सिचुएसनमा. त्यही भएर यो रिलेट गर्न सके अब. त्यसको लागि चाहिँ अब यो वान एन्ड ओन्ली वे चाहिँ अब त्यो रिभिजन चाहिँ एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ के. अनि अब सबै नयाँ इन्फर्मेसन चाहिँ रिभिजन एकदम धेरै गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. जति रिभिजन गर्नुभयो त्यति धेरै एफर्ट दिनुभयो त्यही अनुसारले हुन्छ कि.
गुड मर्निङ.
गुड मर्निङ सबैजना. गुड मर्निङ.
गुड मर्निङ.
ए म यहाँ सबै यो सबै नयाँ कुरा छ, के बुझ्नु के नबुझ्नु हुन्छ भने मैले सबैले यो
त्यो ध्यान त्यतातिर राखिराख्नै हो कि एकछिन हेऱ्यो अनि त्यहाँबाट के हो भयो जस्तो हुन्छ. अनि त्यो बुझेन ल एकछिन पछि फेरि हेर्नु पर्ला. अहिले एकछिन एकदमै दिमाग भयो भने अनि त्यसपछि रिकनेक्ट गर्ने त्यहाँ गएर बस्नै त्यो
त्यो त अब यो ब्रेक भएछ त्यो चाहिँ अब गर्नै पर्छ. अब यो चाहिँ यो अब यसको अब के भन्नु अब यो उपाय छैन यसको. आफै प्र्याक्टिस र मेहनत नगरिकन उपाय नै छैन. अरु
भन्ने दिमागमा राख्नु पर्यो.
त्यही हो हजुर. अब त्यो आफै मेहनत गरेर गर्छु र पढ्छु भने अरु उपाय छैन. त्यही भएर अब यो चाहिँ अब एकैचोटि त हुन्छ नि सबै कुरा त हुँदैन. हामीले पनि अब एकैचोटि धेरै इन्फर्मेसन हुन्छ कि. त्यही भएर रिभिजन चाहिँ एकदम धेरै इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ कि. रिभिजन जति धेरै रिभिजन गर्नुहुन्छ जति धेरै त्यो पढेको कुरा रिभिजन हुन्छ. अब फेरि त्यही भएर इम्पोर्टेन्ट के हुन्छ भने अब जावा सुरु गरेँ मैले. त्योभन्दा अगाडि टेस्टिङको गरेको थिएँ. अब टेस्टिङको कुराहरू अब यहाँ स्टुडेन्ट कसले कति एन्सर दिन सक्नुहुन्छ. जस्तै अब ल डेली स्क्रम कलमा के हो ल क्वेसन सोध्छु है. स्टार्ट विथ द क्विज, स्मल क्विज, पप क्विज. What are the questions you discuss in the daily scrum call?
Okay.
Scrum त अब यो मिटिङ एभ्रीडे 15 मिनट चाहिँ एउटा मिटिङ हुन्छ हैन सर?
हजुर.
अरु त्यसमा चाहिँ
इंग्लिशमा प्लिज एभ्रीथिङ.
प्लिज. Daily scrum meeting every day it should be like 15 minutes, and the small team like less than 10 what is called like the people are including Scrum Master. And then it's like planning for what we did yesterday, what we are going to do today, and what is the planning for so and what is the like either or something we have to join for tomorrow. So we discuss
no, last one 2 is correct. What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? And any impediments. So not what are you going to do tomorrow. So that is the there's 3 questions and good one. Thank you for saying that. There will be others too, like the different types of testing. And we talked about like few testing tests, right? What is a sanity test?
Which one?
Sanity. What is sanity testing? Anyone? What is sanity testing? Netraji, since you are laughing, smiling, I'm gonna make you. What is sanity testing?
I have quickly looked in the Google. That's why I was laughing at myself.
That's fine. Then still you can tell. I mean,
Because I have to monitor and I look in the other one.
what is sanity testing then? It's okay. You can look at it and let me know.
Yeah, just
Software
to check the
application
new.
are working as expected after making some small changes or fixes. त्यही हो कि sir?
That is you give such a generic answer that it applies to all the testing.
Regression testing, sir.
It's just no sanity. That is correct. Testing is that is correct word for testing, but sanity, it's not exactly. You have to. What does that mean? What do you do?
It's
What is sanity?
functionally the new software testing, right?
That is
New
also correct, but that's not the correct answer, because that's again why you do the testing. That is answer. That is the you are answering why you do the testing, but you are not you are not replying what is sanity testing. Anyone? I thought you looked into Google. Now let me know what is sanity testing.
Yeah, I didn't see any different word. It's just like a normal testing, but when we build up a new software, like add a new software and test whether that newly made software is working with the one already there.
That is better answer. So sanity, if you the word I was looking for one word. So that is where I was trying to get, because some key word what I speak matters, right? So sanity means quick testing. A small testing you do as just quick testing after the software is a new feature or some enhancement has been added to the code, or so you do a quick testing. That is also known as sanity, so that you don't look at the overall feature of the application, but you just do like 5 to 10 minutes of testing or 15 minutes just to make sure that everything other functionalities, existing functionalities. There's another word also there. So quick testing and existing functionalities are working as expected. That is a sanity testing. Or what is another word or similar to sanity testing? There's one more testing. There's one more testing that is similar to sanity testing.
Smoke testing.
Correct. Smoke testing is similar to some
Smoke
people
testing.
use smoke testing also at the time. Yeah. Okay. Next, what are the OOPS concept? Java OOPS concept.
You mean like you do it first? Do it first.
OOPS concept. There are a few things. So we discussed, right? There are a few things that we discussed in the OOPS concept. What are those?
The full form.
Extraction,
Object
encapsulation.
oriented.
Yeah.
Object oriented system.
No, there was
Programming.
OOPS.
Object
What are OOPS
oriented programming.
concepts? I mean, 4 or 6 OOPS concepts. So OOPS is object oriented programming, but there are
Class, objects, speculation.
class objects are also there, but
And
there were
inheritance.
Sushmita was saying few more.
Inheritance and polymorphism.
Yeah. Inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Those are the OOPS concept. So what is encapsulation? Give me the example I mentioned in the class, like in the lecture. What is encapsulation? Just give me the example, not the exact Java way, but at least give me the example of encapsulation we discussed. There was an example provided.
But I know the definition. I don't remember the example.
No, there was an example, just to conceptual example, right? There was an example of encapsulation.
Did you talk about the medicine?
Yeah, the medicine. So when you
The
see
data
the
and the code binding together.
Yeah,
in the
if
single
you
unit.
see the medicine, there's a capsule, but inside the capsule you have multiple ingredients inside it that are multiple chemicals, right? Basically, it's a chemical. So that is encapsulation. So polymorphism. Somebody else, let's
Yeah,
try. So let's
it
somebody
is-
else try. Someone else. Let's try. What is polymorphism? Anyone? Yep. That is, if you look into the word itself, has some meaning. Polymorphism.
Allows object of different classes to be treated as object of common superclass.
I don't know, that is Google answered, I believe, but but that is not exactly how I mentioned in there. That is also blanket answer again, but that's, I mean, that is also true, but that's not the answer I provided. If you give that answer, then you'll be in trouble, because what do you mean object of different classes? How do you say, give me an example? Then can you give the example of that? Then that will be, you'll put yourself in trouble. So you give a simple example that was provided in the class. What is polymorphism? Word itself has there poly, right? So it says poly. What does poly means?
Poly means it's many.
Yeah, poly means many.
Yeah.
Morphism means, what is morphism? Or morphism means, yeah, so multiple forms. So a same element has multiple forms. Is a polymorphism. And we give an example, right? What was an example that was provided in the class? Anyone? Not other than Susmita ji. Let's see. I think you have studied. You see, you have done some
Yeah,
reading.
but I
Yeah.
forget after a few days. If you answer after a few days, it's gone.
That's fine, but at least you have some idea. So there was an example provided in the class. Anyone on the lecture? Polymorphism. So I believe nobody has gone through the Java basics. So have anyone gone through all those lectures? You need to.
That day went on the same day, but
No, you have to multiple times. That's why I told you. When you have to re-revise it. Think every week, almost whatever was taught before had to revision had to be done from beginning to end, and plus whatever was taught in that week or weekend, that has to be done with assignment revision. Then only you can continue. Otherwise, everything is new information, right? So what will happen is you'll forget the back and what you did. So that's the reason every day you have to almost, yeah, you have to go through them. But remember, at least not every day, at least once a week. All those things have to go. We have to go through all those previously. Anyone example of polymorphism that I gave in the class? Go ahead, Susmita ji. Nobody answer. If you
I
remember.
think that's what I saw in the paper. Dad was like doing that and shopping, something. We were doing
Right,
different.
that's correct. Polymer of same object, same person doing multiple tasking. So he will be a dad at home, he'll be a worker at office, he'll be going to doing this office, means he's the same person. Polymorphism, different forms, means one person doing multiple stuff. Activities is a polymorphism. And I think I did some example also in coding. Anyone remember that I did a coding example? There was, I think I provided the coding also to everyone to practice in there. For example, the coding. I mean, that was a little ahead of the time, but I wanted you to get everyone to look into it so that you just have some general idea. But I did some polymorphism example also. In the first coding, probably the one I provided, just as you copy it, paste, and send it to me. So there was an example of polymorphism. Does anyone remember?
Like the if one, like
No, there was different data type addition, right? A subtraction I did. So return different data types. means that is polymorphism. But I use same word, but I have different parameters in the bracket, right?
Oh, you did like the add and double one, right?
Yep,
Add
yeah. You can do the double and you can do the integer
and
addition
multiply.
and double. So that is one of the example of polymorphism. And polymorphism has two types. One is method overloading and method overriding. The one I gave you example is method overloading. I think it's overloading only. Let me see. I just want to make sure I don't give the wrong example. So yeah, that is the method overloading. That's what I give. I gave you the example of method overloading. That is a type of polymorphism. And whenever somebody will ask, we'll do some example of method overloading and overriding later. But method overloading is, I give an example of method overloading. So that is one of the example of polymorphism. So can anybody say like how we did like, right? What is the use of different yeah, from yesterday itself? Okay, I'll ask the variable types. Okay, give me some. What are primitive and what are non-primitive variables? Everyone's mic is mute other than Netraji, Raj, Sushmita ji. So is everyone even going to attempt to say anything? So there are
Primitive
two.
and non-primitives are like two different types of data types, and they're like all the numeric and non-numeric data types are primitive, and non-primitives is a uh, larger types of data types like strings, arrays, and class type of thing. And in the primitive, we have numeric and non-numeric. Like numeric is like integer and big integers kind of data types. I forgot some other. And then non-numerics are like the variable types of data types and character types of data types and
Good,
string data types. Those are the non-numeric data types in
good.
primitive.
Sure. Why are those called primitive? Why are those
Because
called primitive?
they're primitive by the word itself. It reflects the primarily used ones or like used in the like um, general concept or general software developing process. So these are the primarily used ones. That's why it's called primitive.
Yeah, that's good. Also, the primitive, why it is called primitive is because there are certain programming concepts that has been developed long time back, and they already have that this data types already inbuilt. So in
Oh
order to
yes.
support because Java is what is the region of Java? If I listen to first time I said is object-oriented programming concepts. Object-oriented means primitive types are not an object-oriented. Means you can create an object out of this primitive data. So that is the reason what is done is instead of that, they wanted to support the old primitive data types too, old data types. So that is why they call it primitive data types as an old. There are ways to create object out of it also, but don't worry about it right now. Just remember that Java supports primitive data type too. Okay. What does that void means in the method? What does void in a method mean? Yesterday we
No, but
talked quickly about some
it doesn't have a return value.
return value. Yeah. So
Mm.
void means it doesn't have a return value. What does that mean? So yeah, that's good. But anyone can explain what does that mean? What it doesn't have a return value means? Okay, let me do another one then. Static. Anyone? What is static means? Pankaj, you are on the mute, so let me ask you the question. What does static means? Pankaj ji? His speaker is on mute, Pankaj ji.
It is create an object of the class.
No, it's correct. Not exactly.
Without creating object.
Of a that is also true, but the main meaning of because there will be keyword that I'm looking for. That's what that's also true. But the keyword I'm looking Pratik ji, you are also in the mute. What is static means?
Is it like a sharing of the sharing to the object?
Static means the
Declare a
method or
member field?
variable belongs to a main class. That that when you say static variable, right? I give an example, static variable. Yes, we look at yesterday's example.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't print when you print the name, what happened there? That's what you could not get the what do you call that? If you see the name, when I print name inside the method, it printed the name different, but when I print the name of the class name, it printed different. So that is class static means it belongs the method or the class belongs to the what do you call it? The method belongs to the class. So since we talked about it today, I wanted to discuss that also. Let's see. Let me go to my screen one. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Let me make a note. 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry. Copy. I'm just copying the whole code. Paste. And I'm gonna say, oh, week 6 day 2. Oh, it automatically gives up the name code.
Yeah,
So
he's building the system.
Smart. Smart.
Yeah.
So I'm creating a new class from yesterday's. So now when yesterday, let me remove this one because this is new different day. Okay, I don't want this one here. Okay, this one I need. Yeah, I need this one. Print integer, let it be. I don't need this one either. Okay. So next thing today is what happens now, when Java you say object, right? Yesterday we talked about what is an object, and today I said Java is object-oriented programming. What do you mean by object-oriented programming is for Java, everything is an object. So if you look here and see, for a simple example would be, I'm trying to call the method like test, right? So what I'm doing, I want to print what is in the name as Netraji's name. Say example, I want to call the method test. If I do test, because method calling should be your method name and the bracket. If it has parameters, then you need to provide the parameters. That's the what do you call that? Standard way of calling the method. So if whatever you have method, if you're calling test method, you need to provide test. 1 second, I'll say test method object. Okay, I'm gonna say this way. If you look, I've written camel case, T lowercase, M uppercase, O uppercase. So that is another standard. So if I do test method object, see, I get an error, correct? Why I'm getting error? Because the method, it says, if you look here, cannot make a static reference to a non-static method. So what it's saying is now the method I created is this test method is not a static method. It doesn't belong to the class. So if it is non-static, you cannot call them directly. So what you need to do is like similarly, if you look at this name, right? If I put your name, I'll give you another example. If I say name, right? If you see your name, suddenly I didn't get an error in this code. There's no error in this code because the name isn't static. But if I remove the static, see, I see a red line on the bottom, right? That means that's an error. It's saying there is an error in the code. Can make a static reference to a non-static. So if you want to use this as a, if you want to use this method as an, if these objects within the class or outside the class, I'm just giving one example of this class. Okay, sometimes you will call from one class to another class and stuff like that. So If you look at, I got an error in both the one. Now, so since Java is an object-oriented programming, and this is really important concept, and everyone has to remember, the only way for you to now call this method that are not static is you create an object of a class. So remember that word I'm saying. You need to create an object of a class. So what you need to do is, I'm gonna make an object. How to create object is, first you give the name of the class. Okay, and I'll say first you give the name of the class. This is the same, uppercase, lowercase, everything should match. Second thing I'll do is test. You can give any name. For now, I'm gonna do test1. Okay, or I'll say class object1. I'll say class object1, just to make sure you are giving the name at some proper value. So again, I need to do is use new keyword. That means I'm creating a new object out of it. So week class day2. Again, I have to give the class name, object, what name you can give, any name, and then new, and again class name. And since it doesn't take any parameters or something, I'm going to just make it as a bracket. Now, if I want to call the method test method, what I need to do is I need to use this, whatever the name I give, right? Now this is a variable or naming object I give, right? Class object name. So now this is an object name. I created an object out of the weekday class, and now I'm going to do is instance of it, but it's called instantiate a class. So, but I don't want to use that word, but remember that word is somebody will ask you on that one. So now what I can do is I can copy this class, whatever name variable I gave, and then I can use dot. If I give dot, and then I do add the method name, I'm able to see I didn't get an error. That means I'm making an object of a class, and then I'm calling this method after of that object within that class. I'm calling that method. Second thing, if you see the same thing in the name, right? I'm not able to do it, but I create a class object name dot name. See, both the errors are gone. What it does it, because this is a way of, this is what I'm doing is I'm creating a object of a class. I'm creating a reference. Now I want to access this information, because even though I say public, but the method is public means I can access through some extra outside, right? Outside the class or within the class. But if I don't use static keyword, what happens is I won't be able to access this method or variable or class variable object, like, without I can access those data or those values. So in that way, or method or variable. So in that way, only way we do is you need to create a instantiate the class or create an object of the class. How do you do is, first, if you have to give the class name, then you need to give some example name here. I just say class object 1, and new I give weekdays 2. And again, new is a Q, means new keyword. That is a reserved keyword for Java. Again, yesterday we talked about reserved keywords, right? So this is also a reserved keyword. You have to use exactly the same syntax and the class name, and then close the bracket, semicolon. Now you create an object. After you use the object, you can use object, whatever that you create object dot full apostrophe, and then you give the whatever you want to access, method name or the variable name. So if I run this now, let me save first. Let me run as Java. See, my name is Netra, my name is Vivek. See this? So now the issue is, so this is called creating an instance of an object. So this is when you say object, this is where this is one of the feature or one of the fundamental of Java, which we'll be using mainly in future. Any questions till now? So from yesterday's example, I hope everyone has uploaded in their system, right? So create a summon. Let's do the example for everyone, because this is really important. Copy the class, or copy yesterday's one, and or whatever class you have. Yesterday I think I pointed out this class also, this also, right? Day 2. Make sure practice this example in your local system right now, please, everyone. because this is a important concept which everyone should know how to do. Remove the static keywords from both the way, and then only you can do this. So let me know when you are done, because first thing is, now let me send this class itself. Let me see. Give me a second. Copy. Let me push it into the model. So if everyone is in the model, they can just 1 second. I'll say this is assignment. A an object of a class. Create an object of class. Call the variables. No one does this, but I want to upload the class. How do I upload it? Okay, I uploaded in the link. Okay, in the day, create an object of a class. If you want to look at sample, but if you want to look at the sample from my code, I'll let it be here for a while. But everyone should, by now, everyone should be able to create a class, method, and all those things, right? So please practice this and let me know when it's done.
Is you practice from where, in the assignment or in the screen?
You can practice on my screen too. It's up to you. That's I just provided in there. I provided the whole code, whatever I had here, so that it's easier for you to look into it. But if you can practice on your own. We had some example from yesterday's code, right? Remove the static, copy that I did. I copied the class and made another class out of it. And then I just removed the static and create an object. So static from both the string name variable and this one. And the method, test method object. Give a different name, class object one instead of that method name, give different name of that class object name. Instead of do say, you can give any name. Because I want to do another example out of it. So quickly. Which is also an important concept. So I'll do next example after this is done. Today we are going to learn all about method, how methods, method parameters. We a little bit briefly went on the other one, but we'll go over the class today about the methods, parameters and methods. I just need 1 or 2 persons to complete this. So then, at least I can continue from there. Anyone completed this? We have another
Yeah.
maximum 5 minutes to complete this. I know, because this is already existing, right? We are only adding couple of lines only.
मेरो share गरौँ
Rahas. Stop sharing.
Did I save it? Oh gosh.
Yeah, you saved it. Your first
Oh.
method, and that's fine. And you are saying it's my object. Learn. There is space between dot and my space. That is the you shouldn't give that
Should-
space.
Okay.
Remove that space. So practice that. Remove that again. My first method, and that's type it again. Okay, that is also a good example. And system.out my okay. You did my why my object learn. That is the object, right? You are printing the object. So you see that.
This one.
No, but that's fine. When you see,
Okay.
look at the example, when you see in the console, you see the week 6, week day 6, that's object reference. What happens is whenever a program runs, it creates a
what I
space in
did.
the memory, right? In the memory. So this is what it is creating this space.
So
That is good one.
it should
Example
be
of this
this
is
one.
no, that is already my friend already has the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put the name object, system.out. Instead of my object learn, put the name. So, but I'm just telling you know that this is what you printed is the object reference.
Okay.
If when you print an
You
object,
should name right here.
yeah.
That's why I was wondering, you know, what I did.
See, but you can't put name directly. Why? I just answered that question. When you put name, why did you get an error? Because it's not static, right? So for since it's not static,
Oh yeah, I have to do something else.
you have to use the object, class object, and dot, and then you call that
Name.
So
Okay.
yeah. And then name. Yeah. So that's now you run it. Save it and run it. Yeah. That's correct. So this is the
I was wondering what I did in there. You know, I said something else.
no worries. But you understood what you're doing, right?
Now
at
I
least,
know. No, I remember it.
okay. So line 12 and line 13 and line 11, those three are important, and yeah, because you remove the static ones, and then because since you use static, you can't call the name directly. Now in order to do that, you need to get an object of that class. And when you do the object of the class, then you can call those methods. So this is why Java is an object-oriented programming. And why OOPS programming or object-oriented programming? Why? Because this is the reason. Okay, so this is why Java is object-oriented programming. So anyone else? At least
I always remember that, you know, when I do it.
now you will remember why it's called object-oriented programming. This is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why it's called object-oriented programming. What you did just now is you create an object of a class, and you call this variables or methods inside. So that's why it's called object-oriented programming. So anyone else? Anyone completed this example?
When I try to create the project, I cannot go to the page to start it. You know I think I'm missing something.
Like, to start it, I didn't understand.
No.
Go share me your screen.
It's very basic. So from here, I have made it class work, this one. And how do I start in this inside there?
What do you mean? How do I start? Why did you create new? You could have used the old one, but that is fine. First,
Yeah,
you
I
need to.
wanted to just make a class for
Then in
different
source, right?
folders.
Inside source is their folder. Yesterday we wrote about source and everything, right? The
Mm.
source folder is there. So minimize the other ones. So there are multiple ones you created project. Minimize no, not there. The projects inside the package folder. Minimize the other. No, no, no,
This
not
one?
that, not that one. Minimize to brackets and to greater than symbol तल झरेको थियो नि, हो त्यसलाई हो त्यसरी minimize सबैलाई हो अर्को त week 6 to day 2 पनि हो त्यसलाई नि गर्नुस् हो त्यसलाई नि अब जम्मा week 2 मात्र खुल्यो नि त week हो त्यसो अब सोर्सलाई एक्सप्यान्ड गर्नुस् डबल क्लिक गर्नुस् या छैन भने राइट क्लिक गरेर प्याकेजहरु बनाउनु न्यू प्याकेज न्यूबाट हिजो लेख्नु भएको थियो हैन न्यू प्याकेज तल छ इन्टर तल थियो
के नेम दिनुपर्छ त्यसमा?
त्यही दिनुपर्छ नेम त के नाम दिन्छ त सबै क्लास सबैचोटि यो नयाँ प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट गराउनु पर्दैन कि यो हरेक क्लासलाई चाहिँ यो त प्र्याक्टिसलाई मात्रै हो त्यही जावा क्लास फाइलहरु मात्रै बनाउने हो एकचोटि फोल्डर बनाएपछि भित्र क्लासहरु मल्टिपल क्लास बनाउनु पर्छ प्रोजेक्टमा जानु भने 10 वटा 20 वटा 30 वटा सम्म क्लासहरु हुन्छ भित्र एउटा फोल्डर भित्र एउटा प्याकेज भित्र त हरेकचोटि नयाँ बनाइरहनु पर्दैन कि यो प्रोजेक्टहरु वान टाइम तर तपाईले त सुरु गर्नुभएको छ नि त बनाउन पुरै त
हजुर
अहिले पठायो नाम दिनुस् न म त आफ्नो कुरा गरिरहेको छु तपाईँ आफ्नो आम त अब गरौँ लोवर केस भनेर हिजो त्यो भन्दाखेरि त्यो प्याकेजमा चाहिँ
त्यसमा चाहिँ हैन
अँ, त्यसभित्र क्लास क्रिएट गरेर गर्नुपर्छ त्यहाँभित्र फेरि राइट क्लिक गर्ने अनि क्लास क्रिएट गर्ने न्यू क्लास त्यहाँभित्र क्लास क्रिएट गरेर अब त्यहाँभित्र गर्ने ल अब अरू कोही
फेरि नेम गर्नु पर्यो होला
हजुर
फेरि नेम दिने होला
दिनुपर्छ क्लासको नाम चाहियो नाम त के के त्यहाँभित्र प्र्याक्टिस गर्नुहोस् अब के गर्ने ल म अब अर्कोतिर जान्छु एनीवन एल्स कम्प्लिटेड वान्ट टु शेयर द प्रोजेक्ट विथ मी
Yeah, I have it. I
Did you
couldn't.
complete it or do you have issues?
No issues. It's not showing the some
Okay,
error.
go ahead. Did you copy? What did you do? First, did you copy the class or do you the yesterday's one? Did you use the yesterday's class?
Copy, yeah.
Share me screen quickly. I don't have much time. I have to go for other topic before I start, but yeah, quickly show it. Show me, please. Your error is in the top itself. That means your brackets are not correct. Let's go scroll down to the bottom. Your brackets should be. See, where is the class bracket close? Okay, there. Scroll up. What is the problem then? Save this one first. Everything you do, you need to save. Could you please save?
Yeah.
And go to the error. What does that error says? Declare package which doesn't match the expected package class error. Then where did you create this one? This class.
I have a multiple opening.
Where did you create that? Where is this class?
I think
You have assignment week 5 is there. How many assignment week 5 folder you have? Oh my god. You have two weekday and day. Okay. It's under assignment. If you look at the top right in Eclipse workspace, if you see read on the top of the Eclipse, you'll see Eclipse workspace Assassin 5 source Assassin. So assignment week 5. Okay. Inside that you have a source folder. Inside class Assassin you have written this. So you expand that inside the source. Yeah. Inside source there is class as assignment. Yeah, expand that. तर खोल्नु त ठुलो पार्नु त्यसलाई assignment डबल क्लिक गर्नुहोस् त डबल क्लिक गर्नुहोस् त्यहाँनिर सोर्समा असाइनमेन्ट अरूलाई सानो पार्नुहोस् अरू सबैलाई त्यो ब्राकेट तल झरेको छैन हो त्यसलाई क्लिक हो त्यहाँ क्लिक गर्नुहोस् सबैको अरू तल भए जति हो अरू त्यसको पनि अब असाइनमेन्ट विक 5 लाई मात्र एक्सप्यान्ड गर्नुहोस् त असाइनमेन्ट विक 5 त्यो होइन सेकेन्ड वाला फोल्डर हो सेकेन्ड वाला हो त्यसलाई त्यहाँ छ क्या त डबल गर्नु अनि सोर्सलाई एक्सप्यान्ड गर्नुहोस् डबल क्लिक गर्नुहोस् हो त्यहाँ एक्सप्यान्ड गर्नु अनि क्लास असाइनमेन्टमा डबल क्लिक गर्नुहोस् या त्यसलाई एक्सप्यान्ड गर्नुहोस् त्यहाँबाट के हाल्नु पर्छ त्यहाँ टेस्ट क्लास त छ त्यहाँ। अनि भनेपछि प्याकेज विक 6 भयो क्या तपाईँको प्याकेज चाहिँ तपाईँले क्लास यसरी लेख्नुभएको छ माथि चाहिँ विक 6 लिनुभएको छ हेर्नु त यता कोडमा तपाईँको प्याकेजै रङ हो प्याकेजको नाम विक 6 बाट प्याकेज त क्लास होइन प्याकेज माथि लाइन 1 मा
यो लाइन भन्नु
अन्त विक 6 को साटो क्लास एसएसआइएन लेख्नुस् अनि एसएसआइएन पनि लेख्नुस् सबै ल सेभ गर्नुहोस् त अनि मेरो क्लास चाहिँ विक डे 62 छ तपाईँको क्लास चाहिँ टेस्ट क्लास छ त्यसो क्लासको नाम पनि एउटै दिनुहोस्
तल
हजुर त्यो त्यसलाई डबल त्यसलाई हटाएर टेस्ट क्लास दिनुहोस् क्लासको नाममा तपाईँले त्यहाँ फोल्डरमा बेग्लै छ त्यहाँभित्र बेग्लै छ त्यसलाई हटाउनु पर्छ विक सेट हटाउनु पर्छ हो त्यसलाई रिमुभ गरेर हजुर त्यहाँबाट अप्पर केस जस्तो छ अप्पर केस टी अनि टेस्ट क्लास लिनुहोस् अनि स्पेस छैन त्यहाँनिर टेस्ट क्लासभित्र स्पेस हुँदैन क्लास नेमहरूमा सेभ गर्नुहोस् अनि तपाईँले तल त्यो लाइन 16 मा विक डे त क्लासको नाम होइन नि त क्लासको नाम त दिएर सिन्ट्याक्स गलत भयो नि त टेस्ट क्लास दिनुहोस् त्यहाँ पनि अनि त्यो क्लास अब्जेक्ट होइन हो त्यहाँ विक डे क्लासको नाम जहाँ इस्यु छ त्यहाँनिर सबैतिर त्यहाँ जहाँ जहाँ इस्यु छ विक डे लेख्नु त्यहाँ टेस्ट क्लास गर्नुहोस् भइहाल्यो जहाँ छ रिप्लेस गर्नुहोस् सबै रन हुन्छ अब भइहाल्छ भएको ठाउँमा रिप्लेस गर्नु सबैतिर अर्को पनि त्यसो न्यू पनि अर्कै दिनुभएको छ
रिप्लेस कमान्ड छैन यसमा
हुन्छ तर अब पहिले अलिक प्र्याक्टिस गर्नुहोस् न हुन्छ त कन्ट्रोल सी कन्ट्रोल भी पनि हुन्छ त्यो हुन्छ त्यो टेस्ट क्लासमा अब रिप्लेस गर्नुहोस् यता न्यूबाट पनि छ नि त्यहाँ एरर आइरहेछ रातो हेर्नुहोस् न त्यहाँ
यो
न्यूतिर पनि
16 मा
त्यहाँ पनि विकडेज हटाएर टेस्ट क्लास दिनुहोस् त्यहाँ ल भयो त्यो भयो ल अब म अर्कोतिर जान्छु तपाईँको रन भयो यति हो सेभ गर्नुहोस् रन हुन्छ लेट मी सेयर माई स्क्रिन नाउ ओके okay let me share okay so the reason why we do object right let me create a new one then I don't know if I can do the same one so what we did is we created an object of this test object of a class and we call the method why we do it this way is let me give you another example okay so say example in this one you want to you can do that also, but there are multiple ways of doing. Yeah, say example, I can do that. Okay. String. This is a method parameter. So another thing today I want to discuss is method parameter. So if you see here, I'm giving the string name as a parameter for this method. So now, since I already provided here, it says, why are you giving this name again? So declaring the name, because I can only have within the method, you can, if you already the same object or same element is already variable name is already declared, you can use that twice. So what I need to do is I need to remove this string now because I already provided the name as a parameters now as an object. Earlier I declared inside the method. Now I'm doing it in the parameter method parameter. So I just removed that and string there from there. Okay. So now I can just declare whatever name should be Netraji. Okay, and I don't even have to do that. I'll just remove it. I'm not gonna, but that is the example I was giving. So I'm going to remove it. So what happens is whatever name I provide for this method, that will print. So when I call this method, I'll use this print. So I'll give an example here. Okay, so I'm going to say name equals to Netraji, right? What will happen is in this case, I'm creating an object of a class. I'm calling the method test method object, and I'm giving the parameters. So method parameters. What parameter I give is the Netraji name. So when I run this class, if you see this, when I do run, oh, 1 second, let me do this way then. I get the name. My name is Netra. So because I pass this method as a variable, certain times what happens is certain in example would be certain places what will happen is you have to create a multiple object because you want to act as a different ways. Okay, so now what I can do is week 6 I'm gonna create another object of a class class object 2, because I can use the name already that I used before. So I am to use the new unique name every time. New week 6 day 2. Right? I created an object of I created another object of that class. Right? I'm going to do is class object 2 equals to, I'm sorry, dot. Okay. Why I'm not getting that? Did I miss something? Oh yeah. Sorry, my spelling mistake.
B
Object dot.
missing.
If I do here again, I'm going to call the test. If I do test, I can double click this one also. Instead of typing, I can just double click on this. And it is saying if I don't want a null value, in this case, I want to put Raji then. So what happens is same element, right? I create for the same method I called, but I wanted to create a separate object. So this is why Java is object oriented. You can create a separate instance of that object. Now you want to do whatever you want to do with this object, you can do whatever you want. What other things you want to do, you can do anything you want. So this is now you're creating a separate object of a class and you manipulate that object into doing certain activities. Now I gave a separate name. Same class, I can create multiple instances. Instances means the instance, right? What do you call that? So multiple instances. So if I look here, it says my name is Raj. So what happened is this is why the fundamental of Java is you can create multiple objects out of this class and you can do what you want to manipulate. Say example in this class, since what I know is this test method is a void type, right? That's the reason I don't even have to, write what object you want to print and stuff. So what I'm doing is this is void type. But now, if I want to manipulate the object, say example here, I did manipulate, right? So means in the first time I said I want to print an object Netraji and I got this one. Second times I wanted to do, I got the object Raj, right? So it means I manipulated the object into the instead of giving me the different object. So now what I can do is, so I'll give an example of this method is a void type, right? Now let me do one thing. I'll make it a return as a string type. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll do is now I want to create a method overloading, right? So this is another example I'm going to do. I'm just copy pasting everything. Instead of void, I'm saying method string. Okay. All right. All right. What is saying? Okay, yeah, I know what's saying. The return type is not method overloading. Only the parameters types are method overloading. So if you look at here method name, I give the same method name, but I change the return type. Still it is showing an error. It is saying that duplicate method name in type. So what it's saying is even though you provided the method name, right? It is even though you provided the different return type, but it is not, because since you use the same method name and parameters, this is a duplicate method. And you cannot have duplicate method in a class. A method can have only unique method in a class, unless it is method overloading, which is different kind of parameters. Correct? So that is the another example. So which you have to really remember, like when you create a method and stuff. So this is the another where if I copied everything, I added the return type string, I'm still seeing an error. Man, it's considered as a duplicate. You can't have a duplicate method name. You can have method name should be unique. So what I wanted to do is I want to manipulate, right? I said now let me do one thing. Instead of method object, I will do is return name. Okay, return name as a and then I'll say return name. So since I have string as a return type, I have to use the string name conveys as a return type. So that is another thing you have to remember is I say int a, right? Say int a equals to int a. Okay, just say int a equals to 0. If I say return a, look at that, it says an error. Why it says type mismatch? What it's trying to say is I'm saying it, the method will return string type, but I'm saying return int type A, return A. A means a data type int. So that's it, it's a wrong data type. It says you see an error. So this is another thing you have to remember when you use return type and stuff. So now I will do is return name. I will return exactly the same return type and the, because I declare name string as string, I'm going to return the same string type. Okay. So now what is done is it will return the string name as an return type. So what does mean by return? I'll give you an example now. Okay. So this is another example which I want to create, or maybe what I will do is let me comment this code. Okay, I'll comment this code because this was another example I provided before. So what we will do is, if you want to practice, you can just uncomment later. I'll post this whole thing in the lecture today. So if you see here, what happens is for the class object, right now I'm going to create another for my easiness. I'm just gonna copy. Okay, return get. I'll say work week 6 day 2. I'm going to get different name, whatever I want, and I'll say name, return name. I'll say return name. I can give name how I want, but should we make some common sense name? Okay. So now when I use this method like object name and I do dot, you'll see that there are a bunch of, I'm using my mouse now. I have different data types. Like if you see a return name and other test methods, this is string, means it returns the data type as a string. If you look at void, it returns the void type as a return. So I want to use the return name. So I click on this one. I'll double click on this. I get this return name. And what I will do is I will do, in this case, Susmita ji. Okay. Now, what I did is I created and used the return type Susmita ji. Now, what I can also do now, manipulations. Now, Java is all about manipulations. String student 1 equals to which. So what I did is, in this case, I used the first object, whatever I returned, and I made that, make sure that student 1 is a say example student 1 and student 1 is a Susmita ji as a string. So I pass the student 1 name and I'm saying string. So second thing I can do is string student 2 equals to week 6. I'm going to use this dot return name and I'm going to provide, in this case, Prasanna ji. If you look here, I could do is I could also, another thing I forgot to mention in the earlier ones, you can create an object of a class and make multiple instances also, because earlier I didn't have anything to return, right? I only had void and name. That's the reason I didn't have multiple. So if I want to do, I can create also multiple. I can create multiple object and declare multiple object when I call the class, because I can manipulate as much, because it has parameter, right? I can give multiple. I can have student 1, 2, 3, however I want. Now what I do is I will do system.out print student 1. Then it will just print me the, let me run this. It will print my name is Prasanna and Susmita ji, right? 1 second. Why did it print? Oh, I have print statement here too. Okay, that's should not be. But yeah, I can remove this one just in case. Okay, for practice. So what you understood what happened, right? Because I call this method every time, and when I create an object of instance, when I use a return name, what will happen is it will go and call the return name method. When the return name method is called, it has a system.print statement. So because of the print statement, whatever I passed here as a name, as a variable to that method, it went and print this name. So that's the first time you see Susmita ji. Second time when I did, I created a student 2 object. And I did is I used the same method and use the same, I use same class name and same method, and I made a student 2 name as Susmita Prasanna ji. So if you look at here, and then what it went back to the return name and this method, because I'm calling this method here from the within the class, and I'm saying give the name as passing the name as Prasannaji. So what happens is it will go and run this code within this method. Basically, it went and see that okay, I have print statement here. That's the reason it printed the name Prasanna. Okay, and what is return? What is return doing? Return is doing is basically since I'm returning as a string, what I'm doing here is I'm saying that okay, since I'm returning as a string, I can manipulate it now as a string object student2, and I'm saying student2 is a Prasanna. So I can create it, or since I'm returning as a string, I have to use as a string. So I can use a double. So if I use a double, if you look, it says wrong error because type mismatch cannot convert a string to double. Why is saying that? Because I'm returning whatever my class I called, and within the class I called return name. In the return name, I'm returning as a string element, and if I'm returning as a string, I can use double. So it has to be exactly what I'm returning, an object name, variable, what this type parameters type I'm using. It has to be exactly the same. So if you look at here, this is the student2. So this is what you can also print. And this last one, when I said student1, now everything became student1. So now instead of printing from whatever is the name, I can manipulate it however I want, right? Now I can say this is a good way. So now for me, I want to print in this way as a naming convention. Say example, there will be one person, other person who doesn't like this. I'm just giving an example. Okay, this is not the okay. Let me do this last example, then we'll take a break. Today's lecture is all about methods and parameters. So this is I'm giving some. We're gonna go over. Oh my God, my Eclipse dead. I'll give it 1 second. 1 minute.
It is just loading.
Yeah, it's not responding. Yeah, it's something.
My brain is like this. This too.
Like it's all concepts are new, right? That's what happens. So only practicing and learning, and then at least first time you will grasp only maybe 5-10%, and then you have to practice more, you'll get 20%, and another you practice more, you get 30%. That's how it will grow. But okay, I think my system will take some time. Then let's take a break, and then we'll continue this one after this. Okay, let's take 10 minutes break, team. Thank you. Okay, let's start the class. सबैजना आउनुभयो?
हजुर सर।
ए हस्। यो अब यो आज पढाएको यो अब्जेक्टहरू भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ अब के हुन्छ भने यो जाभामा अब मोस्ट पपुलर युज गरिन्छ कि यो जाभामा यो एउटा फन्डामेन्टल यो चाहिँ के हो भने अरू भनेका यी पहिला पहिला लेखेकाहरू चाहिँ प्रिमिटिभ टाइपहरू जस्तो हो त्यो भनेको मतलब के भने पहिला पनि युज हुने हुन् अब चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने अब्जेक्ट क्रिएट गर्ने जाभाको इन्स्टेन्स के यो चाहिँ स्पेसिफिक जाभा मात्रै हो क्या भनेको जाभा अहिले अब्जेक्ट ओरिएन्टेड प्रोग्राम अरूले पनि निकालेको छ अब्जेक्ट ओरिएन्टेड प्रोग्रामिङमा चाहिँ यसरी अब्जेक्ट बनाएर गर्छन् क्या काम जे पनि अब यो त एउटा सिम्पल प्रोजेक्टको एउटा सिम्पल मात्रै हो यो त अब अलिकति एडभान्स पनि भन्नु हुँदैन यो त अब इन्टरमिडिएट लेभलमा जाने बित्तिकै अब अलिक बेसिक भन्दा अलिकति माथि छुने बेसिकै भन्नुपर्छ त्यसलाई पनि यस्ता डिफ्रेन्ट क्लास क्रिएट गर्छन् क्लासबाट अब्जेक्ट बनाउँछन् अब्जेक्टबाट म्यानिपुलेट गर्छन् यसरी थुप्रो कुरा गर्छन् क्या त्यो अब यो अब केही सल्भ गर्नलाई त्यही भएर अब यो हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब सुरुमा प्र्याक्टिस गर्न चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट लाग्छ तर यो प्र्याक्टिस गर्दै जानुपर्छ अनि प्र्याक्टिस गर्दै गएपछि अनि यस्तो गरेपछि उस्तो उस्तो गरेपछि उस्तो हुन्छ यसो हुन्छ त्यसरी अनि हुँदै जान्छ क्या सबै कुराहरू अब यो चाहिँ अब यो प्र्याक्टिस नगरी हुँदैन अब यो पढ्न अब्जेक्टहरू भन्ने कुराहरू अनि
त्यस्तो के कन्टेन्टमा प्र्याक्टिस गर्ने भन्ने आउँछ नि होइन
अब यो सुरुमा त अब यो बेसिकै प्र्याक्टिस गर्नुपर्छ त्योभन्दा बेसिक भन्दा त होइन अब किनभने अब अहिले त अब त्यही त अब यो के हुन्छ भने अब यो अहिले प्र्याक्टिस गऱ्यो भने भरे नहुन पनि सक्छ क्या यो त्यही भएर अब यो कन्टेक्स्ट त अब दिन राम्रो हुन्छ तर अब अहिले कन्टेक्स्ट त अब त्यही अब यो पछि आउँछ कन्टेक्स्टहरू अब भनेको त रियल टाइम इक्जाम्पल गर्दाखेरि सबै युज गर्नुपर्ने हुनसक्छ कि अब यो रियल टाइम इक्जाम्पलमा अब यो अहिले स्याम्पलहरू मात्रै गरिरहेको छु यो त अब यो अहिले अब यो जुन क्लासमा गरेको यो सबै त एकदम 101 हो क्या सबै यो सबै जाभा यो सबै 101मै छौँ हामी अहिले 101 भन्दा माथि गएकै छैन 101 भनेको चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने यहाँको युनिभर्सिटीमा पढाउँदाखेरि कुनै पनि क्लासको फर्स्ट बेसिक सुरु गर्नु पर्यो भने 1 हुन्छ 2 हुन्छ 3 हुन्छ 4 हुन्छ अनि त्यसरी माथि माथि जाँदै जाँदै जान्छ क्या यहाँ क्लासहरू जस्तै अब इन्जिनियरिङ क्लास 101 हुन्छ इन्जिनियरिङ क्लास 201 हुन्छ अनि 202 203 हुन्छ 301 302 त्यसरी नै जान्छ क्या अन्त जति लेभल हुन्छ त्यही बढ्दै यो चाहिँ अहिले हामी चाहिँ 101 नै लेभलमा छौँ कि अझै पनि यो सबै 101 लेभल हो जाभाको हामी त्योभन्दा माथि गएकै छैन
टूमा पुगेकै छैनौँ
छैन हामी 2मा पुगेकै छैनौँ उप्स कन्सेप्ट बेसिक भनेकै 101 हो कि अहिले मेथडमा यी नै अड्किरहेको छ भने हामी 101 मै छौँ त्यही भएर अब यो 101 चाहिँ एटलिस्ट एक्सपोजर चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ क्या सबैजनाले ओके लेट मी स्टार्ट व्हाट आई वाज ट्राइङ टु से सो when I create an object, right? So how to manipulations, I'm saying, I was trying to say. So student 2, when I printed student 2, I could manipulate the student 2 into different way. So look at the student 2, when I print it, I'll get a different name, like see, new way. If you look at this is now I'm manipulating the object again. So there is ways that you can manipulate the object, manipulate the elements. Now what I can do is, this, if you think this is not a manipulation, sometimes you feel like, okay, yeah, this is not a manipulation. What will happen is, I will do is, I'll give an example. Okay, I'm gonna make another example where, once again, not this one. I'll show you how I can manipulate this stuff. Okay, and use some both, print both name, print both student name. Okay, and I'm going to do this way. I'm going to say student 1 plus student 2. See now. If you see like that earlier I said is not manipulation, then this is a manipulation. Okay, why this happened is, let me do this one. Okay, see, if I print this, see, print both student name, Susmita and Prasanna. If you see this one, so this is what I'm doing. I can manipulate it in the way I want it. So when I create a return type object, I'm manipulating it because I'm trying to manipulate the object and see how I can do. But there will be some examples where you have to do different way. Like instead of remove the whatever, if you want to provide first name, give me the, like, say if you have like example Susmita, I don't know what to say then. Let me say
Susmita, whatever.
yes. Okay. G I will say, okay, and Prasanna, G Prasanna. Then I'm gonna show this G Prasanna. So if you look at here, I manipulated it in a different way. So Smita G Prasanna. But what happens is in this one object, I see that I use G as in front or whatever is the condition. I want to remove this G from here because see Sushmita G Prasanna means it should be something wrong. What I can do is in the Java word, there is ways I can manipulate it, grab this name student2 and convert that student2 to only get the name instead of remove the G. I can do that manipulation. So that is called, there are string manipulations, there are methods and classes which you can do. You can remove this G, right? So because I want to do some example, I want to remove. So that is all string manipulations can be done. And that's the reason when you create this object this way, you can do lots of manipulations. So this is the reason, you know, when you do this kind of object in the real time, there will be example where you have to manipulate the objects. So this is where you have to, this is the methods example. So where you can manipulate the different elements. So let's go to the today's lecture. So today's lecture is all about, today is method. So Java method. So if you go over here, I posted this link also in the school. Let me see. I think I did that. 1 second. Week 6. Day 2.
Yeah, he's already did.
Yeah, methods, right? So
Yeah.
let me edit this one also just in case. Oh, not here. I want to make sure because sometimes you may forget that I want not only this, I want everything. Parameters also. I want all of this to be, go over all of them. And method overloading, this which we talked about method overloading, right? So this is another example of method overloading. And let's go to, don't worry about this, only this 3 is good enough. Yeah. So let me save and return. So this all 3 links are present here. So we'll go over this 3 methods now and how the parameters are involved.
Did we talk about the overloading or no?
I did, but I'm going to talk again here in this
Okay.
in this line.
Yeah, because I
So-
forgot everything.
No worries. No worries. Java methods. A method is a block of code which only runs when it is called. So this is a good way of it. So when it is called. So if you look here, a code is run only when it is called. If I didn't call this code here in the run like a return name, say example, it would be first thing it would be let me comment this one. Okay, I added commented this code. So say example would be if I just run this project. Okay, let's run only this one. 1 second, this one. Yeah. So this is a method, right? Test object name is a method, right? See, test object method object is a method name. So if I'm not going to run this method, so I am not going to call this method in a main method. But when I run it, if I run this code, I don't get Netraji here, right? Why? Because I never executed this program, or I never set the main method to go and execute the method. That's the reason a method is only block of code which only runs when it is called. So this is an important thing. So I didn't call the method, so it never ran. So you never got the name Netra. But when I call this method, only when I call this method, then only when you run it, you see that my name is Netraji also. So I'm calling this method here. Since I never call it, you'll never get it. You can pass data known as parameters into a method. So we pass the parameter Netraji here because a method has a parameter. So parameter is string data type, and I'm saying parameter is, I'm saying pass me a string as a parameter for this test object method. So if you look at that, what's happening is it's saying that you can pass data known as parameter into a method. Methods are used to perform certain actions, and they are also known as functions. So sometimes people will call it functions. So remember that. Perform certain actions. So each method would have some purpose. So you cannot just create any method, right? You have to, first method I created is test method object. Second method I created is I want to return the name as a return object because I want to manipulate it. So each method I create has some purpose. For now, but this is a practice purpose we did, but in general, it will have some purpose in the real life. Creating a method. A method can be declared within a class. It is defined within the name of a method followed by a parenthesis. So this is what I was saying. So whenever you create a method name and then parenthesis. Java provides some predefined methods such as system.out.print. So this is also a predefined method that which comes in the library. But when you use it, create your own method to perform certain actions. You can also create your own method. So here is an example. So the example we have already created this method, right? So example, I don't want to go over it. We created a few examples already. Example, in this example, it is saying, I will explain you three things. My method is the name of a method, which we know by now. Static means the method belongs to the main class and not an object of a main class. You will learn more about objects and how to access methods through objects later in this tutorial, which I already explained today. Void means that the method does not have a return value. You will learn more about return values. So I already written about some of the return types, right? How to string and stuff. We did some already called about it. So if you go over it, some of them would be a revision for you. So if some of the previous lecture. To call a method. To call a method in Java, write a method name followed by two parentheses and a semicolon. So if you use, this is how we call the method in our main method, right? Similarly, if you're saying if you want to call this method, we use a parenthesis, method name, parenthesis, and semicolon. So if you can also whenever you want. We already have worked in our Java code by now. You can try this. You can try it yourself too. A method can also be called multiple times. So yeah, that is another thing. Like if you want to print this multiple times, you can call this method multiple times too. It is, but there is no purpose of this calling multiple times. But there was a purpose in this method calling them multiple times, right? If you look at this example I created, right? We call the method multiple times. Look at the return name because we had some purpose we want to do. So we call this method return name, but we created through object of an object of a class, but we call this method multiple times, right? So this is a way saying that we can call this method multiple times. So this is a feature of a method. Okay, and this is the method. So you can practice this exercise and see what is you want to do. Call my method name. It will do something. You can just type. So this is a method. Now let's go to the parameters and arguments. So this is where today's whole lecture is more focused on methods and parameters. So let me give an example. I think I want to create a, let me copy this one. Let me save this first. Okay, copy. I'm gonna do here paste. We take day to a method param. Okay, I created a new class called week6 day2 method param, right? I'll remove all these things. I will follow the example there and we'll just, oh no, I just don't want to remove this. I'll remove this thing. Okay, I'm going to remove this one. So I don't need this. Okay. I'm going to upload this also. I will practice this quickly, go over this method param example. Okay. So I think this already example we did. Okay. Luckily it happened the same thing. So if you look at here, what it's doing is it's saying that method name as param. So parameters and argument information can be passed to a method as parameters. Parameters acts as a variable inside a method. So remember this word, it says parameters acts as a variable inside a method. So that means it's a variable. Parameters are specified after a method name inside the parenthesis. Can anyone tell me what is the parameter here in this method, my method?
String of name.
Fname is the parameter. String is the data type.
No.
String is the data type. Fname is the parameters. So you can add as many parameters as you want, just separate them with a comma. So what it's saying is you can have multiple parameters also. So let me start by this method. I'll use the same. I'll copy this, whatever I created inside here, right? So what I will do is I'll paste it in bit after this method, okay? In here, like in the middle. So I'm going to copy everything that this example was provided. Now it says first name, right? So I'm going to do create static void first name. I'm going to do create a new method. One second. first and last name. So now string first name, string last name. So print string first name plus, I'll do space plus last name. So if you look at here, so a method can take multiples. One parameter, this is first name, is a one method with only prints the first name. First name and last name method will have the first name and last name, and it will print the both the first name and last name. If you want to take the example here, say first name and just say Vivek. Also, sorry, it is a string data type, so I have to provide within the parenthesis, double parenthesis. And I'll say first and last name. I will say first name Vivek, last name Bhattarai. Okay. So if you look here, I called one method with first name, another method with last name. So you have multiple parameters and it will show first name, last name. So let's see what it does. Let's run this program. It says first name. Oh, what is this? Why is this came this way?
Refresh. What is that? Refresh.
Oh, references. I don't know why
Forgot
it
to
says.
delete from the example.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't need it. Why it came from there? I don't like this one. First name. I don't. Okay. I don't like this. Okay. I can just remove this. Okay. Now if I run this program, first one will print first name, will print only Vivek, like here. The first and last name when I call, it will print Vivek Bhattarai. So if you look at, if I put this one first, like if I remove here and this, because this method is called in the order, right? So if I put here, if I run this way, you'll see that first time it will print Vivek Bhattarai and second time it will print Vivek. So depends upon how you call the method, that's how it's going to print. Okay, that's also another thing you may have to remember in future. So when I call first name, it will print first name. And then if I call first and last name, if I double click on this, you'll see it's highlight this, it will print the first name and last name. So this is how you can have multiple parameters. Okay. So like this one is saying that I can use multiple names also. Like if I want to do again, I can call multiple times, right? And I can say first name, okay, Dilipji. Okay. And first and last name, everything should be exactly same. Okay, the naming convention, because name has to be same.
No space, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah, the first and last name in between them.
First and last, I have the space created here, right? Where do you mean?
Okay.
Oh, this, oh, there, yeah, in this one, it shouldn't have a space. So first name should be Dilip, and then next parameter. So if parameters are separated by a comma, okay, that's also remember. Here also comma, here also, when you call them also, you do comma. That means do Trivedi. Okay, so if I call first name and last name, what is saying? Oh, I use the wrong name. Okay. Spelling mistake. See, that's an example of mistake. So, if simple thing also, it has to be exactly the same name. So there was a spelling mistake. So that's what now I can do is see run as. I can call method multiple times. First name, last name. I can call Vivek Bhattarai first name, last name. So this is what it is trying to say here. Okay. Multiple parameters. So this also first name and age. Okay. We already did that. First name and last name we already did it. So we don't need to practice this. Return names. So this is also something which we tried, right? I mean, we worked on it. Return values. So return values means it will return different kinds of values depending upon your need. So if you look at this example, say let me go over the text first. The void keyword used in the example above indicates that the method should not return a value. But if you want the method to return a value, so here is another question. If you want, so there is a need for them to do. If you want the method to return a value, you can use a primitive data type such as int, get, etc. instead of void, and use the return keyword inside the method. So use the return keyword inside the method. So this is what he's saying here. They created a static method. Now see, this is static. There's another thing you have to remember: static, return type int, and my method is a method name, and pass the parameter integer type here in the integer x. And what it wants to return is return 5 plus x. So anything you enter is saying that return the add 5 to that number. So output, and what is saying my method 3. It will whatever data you provide, it will just add that number and provide it. So let me do the example. Let me comment this one out now. Let's take another example. Similarly, static or public, you can use public. If it not default is public, okay? If you don't use public, static int, what's that? Hyperlink, what is that? Public int sum. This is what we did, right? Int a, int b. And I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna say return a plus b. Correct? So now what is happening? This will return the sum of a plus b as an integer, returning the data type integer, and make sure that you're providing both data type integer. So if I'm summing here as integer, right? Here it should also be integer. So a also should be integer, b also should be integer, and the return type also should be integer. So if I say here string, right? Say example. See, it will not accept it. You get an error. Change method data type to string, it says, because I use one of the data type as string. So it has to be that method name, whatever you are returning, also should be same. If whatever you pass, so it should have a purpose. Everything has a need and purpose. So now when I call this, sorry, here inside this main method, when I call sum, and then I'm going to do int 1, and then I'm going to say another parameter would be 3. Okay, and since what is it? Oh, I didn't use static. Okay, see, it didn't, since I didn't use a static keyword, it is saying change sum to static, can't make a static reference. So it's saying to make this, no, so I can just, sometimes what you can do is one quick fix. If it says that, you can just click this one. So one quick fix available. So I'll just click this one. Then what is it automatically will go and add the static keyword. So this is another cheat way. You can cheat because that's the reason you use this, Eclipse and stuff, because it will help you in some items. It will tell you what is the errors and what is the issues and stuff. So if you look at here, now sum 1 and 3 are written. Now what I can do is print me the sum of 1 and 3, whatever is there. You see, I'll run this program, run as 4. Sum of 1 and 3 is 4. So this is a way of, printing the number. So if you look at here, that's what it has done. If whatever return type you have, it will return the summation of both, add those numbers and return. Certain times you want to return those values also, right? And then you want to manipulate. The reason behind putting parameters is, see, I can do another method here, but without parameters. But what will this do is, okay, let me remove the parameters and let me remove this void and let me do a plus b, right? And 1 second, I can do is int a equals to 1, int b equals to 3. I can do that, right? Now sys system.print.out, I have to do a plus b. I can do this way also, correct? Now if I call this method sum, let's see, I can call this method sum here. Instead of this, I don't even need to print because I already added that print there. When I call this method sum, what happens is it will give me the 4, but it will not give you capability to next time that this is not the only final outcome, right? Sometimes you want to do other additions too. Now in this method, what happens is I can make it dynamic because because it's all hard coded within the method, right? So what happens is all these variables values are already hard coded inside the method. I won't be able to reuse it. So coding and programming concept, one of the thing is most important is reusability and making it generic. These are two important concepts which we have to always think and read whenever you are running on any of those. So if you look at here, this sum method, I can add like the same way. But what is problem with it is it will only add 1 plus 3. I will not be able to. But if you look at here, if I call the other sum method, okay, if I call the other sum method with the parameter, I can add 5 plus 5 too. 5 and 5. If I do this way, I can add whatever number I want. So that is the reason we have a parameter and importance of parameterize and return type. So in this sum example, I could only print once, whatever I coded inside that method. But in this one, when I call this sum, I could do anything I want, right? Multiple times. So this is the reason and why you want to parameterize and the return the element so that you can manipulate it. So say example manipulations I said, right? So if I can do int some student number, okay, I can do is I can call this and say student 5 comma 5. So another importance of return type is since I returned as an integer, right? If I look at it in return type is integer for this method, I can also call the create a variable out of it. So if I print here, so okay, I don't want to use 5 plus 5. Sorry, I want to use 10 plus 10. 10 plus 10. So if I print this number, okay, system.out_sum here, what will happen is I can print this one. If I run it, I get 20. See this? What I'm trying to explain here is the reason behind the calling the methods and variable is what is the reason why you do it, right? So you'll have why do you have all this different jargons and this complicated? Why you create this complexity for returning type? Why can't you just create a method and do everything inside it? The reason behind creating parameters return type is see, this is the one. I can create another one also. Like I created a sum of 2 numbers and I print it out, right? I can do the same different thing. I want to do, say, I want to sum here 50 over 50. And I want to student 1, right? I can do it. I can just here, see. Now in this case, I can manipulate them. Okay. If I use them, I can manipulate them. See, I can print 50, 50. So same element, but in this sum method, I won't be able to manipulate anything, right? Because I already hard-coded everything inside the method. So you need to remember that the reason behind doing why we need parameters and why we do different stuff is because of this element, because it makes it more dynamic, more flexibility to do multiple actions. So let's go to the next one. So this is already explained there. So the example returns sum of a method of 2 parameters, which we already did. So this is already explained there. You can also store the value of a variable. So this is what we did right now, right? You can also store the result in a variable, recommended as it is easier to read and maintain. So this is what we did. Return the variable as a sum of the method as a variable. So this is what we did. So if you look at the example, this is what it is saying here too. Next, go to the last one, method overloading. So method overloading is also polymorphism. What it means is when method overloading, multiple methods can have the same name with different parameters. So if you remember here, what is overloading? Multiple methods can have the same name with different parameters. So if you look at here, if you see here int my method, it has text the parameter int x. Float return type, I mean this is return type, okay. Float return type my method can have the float as a data type. Double return type method my method can have the double x and double y, and it will return you the whatever the summation stuff what it's asking. So what it is saying is if you have the same method name and different parameters, it is called a method overloading. But if you have a same method name and different, but no, say same parameters, but different return type, it is not called method overloading. I may ask this question next time. So please remember when it is called method overloading. Method overloading is multiple methods can have same name with different parameters. So remember this term, please. So this is important question, important concept to know. And here is an example, which already I have here example where which multiple examples of here, right? So if you look at it static, one of the method overloading is I use the sum, right? Here is the sum method and here is the sum method. Both are, I have the same method. One is return type is void, another type is int. One doesn't take a parameters and one takes a parameter. So this is also method overloading. Okay, so method overloading doesn't necessarily means only data type. It could be the with parameter, without parameters is also a method overloading. So if you look at this example now, because I have some example already done before, right? I want all of you guys to practice this on your own, because this is I mean, you have to practice on your own. Because this is already there. Example, since already mentioned here, you can always copy paste and try on your own also. So I don't want to, practice this on my own, because you can copy this code and try on your own, right? So if you want to do, copy this first, copy the method, and inside the main method, copy this one. Or what you can do is create a brand new class. If you look at here, right, I will say new class. Oh, sorry, Java new class. I will do just say practice practice Java method overloading, right? And I will not even put the static void main, okay, for now. And when this method is created, I'll do is enter here, because I want this everything to be inside the class. Okay. Next thing I'll do is I'll copy from here to here everything. In this example, sometimes you may have to manipulate stuff, right? And I'll just save it. Now, if I run this, if I right click on this, run as Java application, see, it prints all the number. So you can, I'm just showing you example how you can run the code provided in the practice example. Everyone understands, right? What I've done here. I copied the code from here and practice in the Java also. You can do this way, and you can manipulate however you want. First, you can practice here also. It doesn't mean you have to practice there. You can practice here. You can change everything. The easiest way why I recommend sometimes to use this is, what happens is you went and say for mistake you remove this one, right? You did some code written and then you want to run it. It will not run because you missed the bracket, or you did something, wrote some code. So some error is there. You always can do it. You can start from try again, and then the code will be from fresh. So whatever error you did was in this window. Now whatever new thing will happen is in the window. So that's the reason I wanted you to go and practice in this one. You can run it, manipulate it, understand what it is doing, and manipulate however you want. Like if you see plus, you can do minus also, right? It's up to you. If I do run, earlier I said 13 and some number. Let's see what numbers I get now. It should be some different numbers, right? Or maybe error, I don't know. Yeah, in 3. Earlier I got 8 something, 5, let's say 13 or something. So you have to manipulate, practice it. Like, I saw 3 earlier, 8. And so when I return this method, I got different numbers. Now when I see, I get 13. So, manipulate it, practice it, look at how it's just changing, what the number are changing, and how you can write it. And what if you want, like, if you want to practice this like a whole thing, do one thing, open it in a different window. Have this window side by side, like, like this. Oh, 1 second, did I do something wrong? Okay. So what you can do is, this way. Yeah. I can have this open side by side, and look, I can practice it. There's 2 windows open side by side. I can have one window is where the code is. Now this window I want to practice. So example, I want to say, I can open multiple windows. I can practice outside of multiple windows. Now I want to practice my code. Instead of plus method, I will say subtract method. Okay. And then what I can do, x minus y I can do. And then I can see, okay, plus method int is there. So I don't have subtract. Okay, int also should be right. Okay. So now because since I changed this method was used here. If you look here, and then I can say, okay, something I can run. If it runs, awesome. If it doesn't run, then you have to look at what is the mistake here. Why did you use? How did this design this? So, compare against the class also. You can do the comparison also. So this is where, you have to find ways to learn and practice. So if you look at here, it is saying same thing, like the same thing. Yeah, okay. Instead of defining 2 methods that should do the same thing, it is better to overload one. So what it is saying is, in the first method, it says plus method integer, and second one it is plus method double. It created 2 separate methods. First method is saying that add the method for integer data type. Second one, it is saying add the method with the double data type. Okay. Now what is it? It's calling the method with integer type, and it's saying plus method integer type. It is calling this method and saying add this. It's saying double the variable name. It is giving the initializing the variable, which I said is a good way of practicing. And when it's called this method double method, it is giving the double variable, and it is returning calling this double plus method. But instead of doing that, there is a concept of Java overloading, method overloading, which you can do is you can use the same method and provide the different data types. So instead of defining two methods that should do the same thing, it's better to overload one. In an example below, we overload the plus method to work in both int and double. So what it's saying, method overloading means same method, different parameters. So what it did is same method but different parameters. It used it and it added the summation. And you can do is you can use first you can declare as an int because you provided both the parameters as int. Remember this is important. In this example, when it said int my number, both the parameters for this method are integers. When it says double my number, both the parameters are double. So this is very important concept. And remember this when you are when you're running these examples. And what is it? It will print the sum. First will print the integer, second will print the double. So if we'll run it here, click a run, and when you run, it will say integer 8 plus 5, whatever comes up. Same method, different parameters. Same method, different parameters. And you'll see the different type. One is returning integers, another one is returning double. So this is called method overloading. If you look at here, multiple methods can have the same name as long as the number and or type of the parameters are different. So only difference is parameters and the number types, parameter types, number. So assignment would be go over this example. Okay, I'm going to create that create method overloading example practice, and also where did that go? You have to practice the method overloading. One second. Let me create an assignment. Okay. Assignment would be create method overloading example and submit with the output screenshot. Okay, so you need to get this whatever this console, sorry, I'll say not output, I'll say the console screenshot. So you have to create this method. Don't use the same example, use some different example. So use integer, double, use all the use the float, double, okay, and you can use byte. Okay, use those examples to create the what do you call that method overloading. Okay, I'm going to give an example of I'll post how the example here. So you can where did you go? You can use this example, but I need in this example I need all the data type. Okay, for double byte. I don't want to don't copy paste exactly the same. It has to include both, and methods should include methods should be addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. Okay, let's try all this different mathematics concept and use this method overloading example. Okay, so I'll remove everything so that you can start looking into it and submit. So practice this, and this will be assignment. You have to submit this for the all the console output with different overloading example. All right, that's all for the cluster. Anyone have any questions? Anything they want to talk? Oh, I'll upload. Sorry, I forgot to upload this one also, just in case.
The one you did before.
Yeah, this one method param. One second, let me see. I'll copy this also. I have to upload this somewhere because maybe I'll get a new one. Day 2. Maybe I'll upload it in day 2. I think I can upload multiples with the day 2. Oh, I uploaded a file. No, where did I upload the file? One second, let me see if I can add it. Uploaded somewhere earlier. Edit settings. I can upload a file. Oh yeah, I can upload here. Give me a second. Week 6. What did I give the file name? Week 6 day 2 method param. Okay, I'll do the both then. I'll have to upload both there. I will do it day 2. Also, I'll upload week method param. Also, I'll upload. So both the classes are uploaded here in the day 2. So yeah, you see, let me click day 2. Yeah, both the Java classes are here. Okay, if you want to practice what we did in the class, these are the examples which practiced today. So day 6, day 2 would be the this one. We practice different type with the string manipulations, creating the objects with different objects, printing objects. So if oh sorry, I forgot to. Okay, you can just remove the comment and if you want to print and stuff. So
Okay.
by now everyone should be able to do that. And the other one is this one is not. This is practice just for example. I created. I don't know this. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. So this is another which I did, right? Summation and the day 2 method params and stuff we practice. So those are the 2 types of parameters which we did. If you look at here, it already has some, also has, it's everything is there already, example. So you can just use those as a sample example for you guys. Okay, so those are the items for this week. So anyone have any questions before we end for the day? Only thing I can say is please practice, practice, and practice. That's all I can say. If practice more, this is all going to happen. Help. So if you look at here, we went over, I think we went really quick for this one.
Okay, so
Java methods, practice class and methods. So we are already here. So this is also completed now. So next thing we'll go is, I mean, let's practice and we'll spend some time to go over what if you of all of you guys practice and see what you have done. So next thing we'll do is if and this will go over this one, if else condition, while loop, and switch. So this is another important concept of the Java. So if you complete everything and if you have time, I would recommend everyone to go over here. Like if you look at if else, right? Java if else. If you look at here, Java if else condition, this is the Java if else conditions. So you can practice, you can go over this one if you want. So here is Java if else condition, Java for loop. This is, I mean, this is kind of like we're touching the basic. Oh, what is this? I don't want to. So we are touching the basics. So I want at least for loop. You want to go over this for loop also, and if else and for loop. Those are the other important concepts I want you to go over. Okay. So if you have time, after you're done with this, all these items, Java if else and Java for loop. This is where we're going to. So let's see if we can complete by next week. I think it will take a couple of weeks to complete this one because it's a little bit more complex. So we'll revise what we did till today. I'll see how we do till now, all the concepts, and then probably the next day we'll do some of these concepts like for loop, switch loop, if else conditions and stuff. I think I introduced a little bit about if else already, but yeah, I mean, this will be, I did some hard way in the beginning, but that will sometimes revision will also help. So yeah, you can go over them.
That example made me look in the Google and YouTube, and that made me like understand more better. Like
Okay, that's good. That's the reason I did it, because if you think everything is very simple, that people will stop not looking into the, that's
yeah, I looked
this.
and it didn't make it didn't even make any sense. And I looked in the Google and like you were calling that's how I learned the method and other stuff. I had to look
That's
in
what
Google the thing.
I would recommend to do also. Like self-study is what I mean, because some of the class stuffs I do is maybe a little bit fast because we have to complete this stuff in a quick, right? It's because some in the videos in YouTube and stuff, they'll talk about very, very basic stuff and they have longer time. So yeah, that's what I mean. I have very limited time to cover so many topics. So that's the reason, if you want, you can go over the videos, Google it, like Java. If you example would be, if you go to YouTube, right? YouTube. I hope that's not logged in as mine. Okay, something came up. Okay, probably my wife was looking at YouTube. So Java if else. Oh, what happened? Something wrong here. Java if else basics. Okay, if you look at here, you'll see the video that will say what is if else condition. So you'll see the tutorials. So you'll see many videos like, okay, what is Java if else conditions? Somebody will have videos here. And if you want to do, there'll be for beginners. So if you go here, they'll talk about all the different. If you want to study Java in a proper way, see this guy is saying 13 hours lecture. So he'll only talk. He'll not even do interactive. Basics, this is saying, okay. Just for beginners, he's talking about 12, 13 hours. So imagine that 12 hours just for starting. and then no interactions, no questions. So that will go up to like 40 hours. That will take this just for interactive way of doing this course itself will take 40 hours. That's like almost, if you imagine, that's 10 for 3 to 4 months. So we have very few more topic to cover in very less time. So if you want to use, go Google it, look at it, and Java, for loop, if you want for loop for basics, So beginners, for loop for tutorials for beginners, you can say for loop for beginners, right? Beginners, Java loops for beginners. So you can look into what are the loops, what are the beginners. They will explain some, basic concepts. So you can go like this one has, I don't know what program this is, 20 lecture. So I don't know how much they have. You can go over them, look into some of the videos, how they are using it. So, those are the different concepts you have to start. Like I said, I'm just the gatekeeper in the buffets. So it's up to you how much you want to eat, what are the varieties you want to eat, and how much. I can only give you the directions, how you can go. So this is the purpose of this whole course. Okay. So anyone have any other questions before I end for the day? Cool. I think only few of us are left. Everyone, I think, yeah, few of them may have to leave. So yeah, that's all for today then. Thank you for joining the class.
एउटा
We'll
कुरा
talk.
सर, एउटा कुरा
हजुर.
हाम्रो साथीहरूलाई चाहिँ भनेको के भने एउटा ग्रुप बनाऊ होइन, यसो डिस्कसन गर्न मजा आउँथ्यो, 6 दिनसम्म गायब हुन्छ हामी होइन।
त्यो उसमा गर्ने भनेको सबैको फोन नम्बर
यो
टेलिग्राममा गरे भने
अरे
Yes.
टेलिग्राममा मैले ग्रुप बनाइसकेको, तर साथीहरू धेरै जसो टेलिग्राममा हुनुहुन्न। नेत्रजी र म जोडिया छौँ होइन। अरू साथीहरूले पहिला टेलिग्राममा इन हुनुहोस्, त्यसपछि मैले तपाईँहरूलाई जोको नम्बर थियो त्यो टेक्स्ट चाहिँ गरिदिएको थिएँ मैले। एकचोटि चेक गर्नु।
मेरो टेलिग्राम छ नि सर,
मेरोमा
त्यो
त केही
त्यसमा
आएको
एड
छैन।
गरिहाल भन्नु त, हजुरको नम्बर एड गरौँ है।
एड
एड गर्दा मेरो नम्बर लिँदा 346
यो हाम्रो केमा छ अरे, जावा भनेर छ होइन,
होइन सिटिके जाभा भन्ने ग्रुप छ हेर्नुहोस्।
जावा सिटीको ल यसमा हामी 2जना मात्रै छ अहिले। एड मेम्बरलाई भनिहाल्नु त हजुरको नम्बर।
मेरो भन्छु, मेरो लेख्नु सर 343
346
543
543
6261
6261
प्रतीक।
346 543 6261 डन गर्दा के हुन्छ त? एड मेम्बर होइन, पहिला मैले सेभ गर्नुपर्छ हो।
सेभ गर्न अनि
ओके, प्रतीकजी होइन,
प्रतीक।
गरे पनि हुन्छ होला।
दिलीपजी, हजुरले मलाई पठाउनु भएको छ मेरोमा, कि मेरो नम्बर छैन हजुरसँग?
नम्बर
आयो
च्याटमा
होला
पठाए
हेर्नु
हुन्छ नि, च्याटमा हाले पनि हुन्छ नम्बरहरू त्यहाँ ग्रुप च्याटमा, यस टिम्स यसमा के अरे जुम च्याटमा।
सर मैले आएको
मसँग नम्बर चाहिँ छैन के अरे
हजुर
सुशील दाइको।
पखाउनु है त, म हजुरलाई यहाँ पठाउँछु। यसमा च्याटमै राखिदिनु मैले।
हुन्छ त्यहाँ राख्यो। प्रसन्नको के छ, गइसक्यो?
प्रसन्नलाई पनि मैले टेक्स्ट गर्दैछु, भाउजूको नम्बर छ।
हेर्नु त मेरो, मैले त्यहाँ राख्दैछु।
Um, 405 880 116.
के भन्नु पर्यो डाउनलोड गर्नुपर्छ होला मैले त्यो होइन मेरोमा छैन
टेलिग्राम टेलिग्राम भन्ने टेलिग्राममा हुनुपर्छ अनि बल्ल त्यहाँ एड गर्न मिल्छ गरे प्रदीपजीको आएन अनि
त्यो टेलिग्राम मेसेन्जर भन्ने हो
हजुर
हर ग्रुप फर टेलिग्राम के भन्छ
त्यहाँ आफ्नो नम्बर रजिस्टर गर्नु
स्काई कलरको त्यो लोगो जस्तो हुन्छ हेर्नु होला
ए
यो देखिन्छ यो चाहिँ
ए देखेँ मैले
मेसेजको साइडमा
रिक्वेस्ट चाहिँ कहाँ आएको हुन्छ मेरोमा देखाएको छैन है
ए सबैजना कल चाहिँ एन्ड भइसक्यो बस्ने मान्छेहरू म चाहिँ एकछिन हल मात्रै बसेँ अब जसलाई जानु छ हजुर सकिसक्यो क्लास आजको
त्यो तपाईँले आयो मेरो रिक्वेस्ट म एक्सेप्ट गर्छु म जान्छु यहाँ छोराले ढगा ढगडा गर्न थालिसक्यो 10 बजिसक्यो भनेर उसलाई कहाँ जानु छ होइन अघि नै यो ढगा ढगडा गरेर 10 बज्दा उसले टाइम हेरेर बस्छ कि अनि गाह्रो छ नि हस् थ्याङ्क यू सो मच
हस् हस् धन्यवाद म पनि एन्ड गरेँ कल हस् धन्यवाद सबै